Hearings are now underway for the Oath Keepers convicted of seditious conspiracy and other charges for their participation January 6th. Today, a federal judge heard victim statements, including from Capitol Police Officer Harry Dunn, who said he continues to seek therapy, quote, to learn how to heal from January 6th. It has taken such a toll on me, as well as Virginia Brown, who was just a college student working as a Senate assistant, seen here on the right, carrying the actual physical electoral ballots right before the attack. She said in court, quote, I constantly relive the memories of that day. I cannot measure how many hours of sleep I've lost. Prosecutors are asking the judge for what would be the longest sentences yet in all the January 6 cases, including 25 years for Oath Keeper founder Elmer Stewart Rose III on the right and 21 years for member Kelly Meggs. Prosecutors say they, along with 7 other Oath Keepers, played a, quote, central and damning role in the attack on American democracy. And as a co-conspirator recognized, these actions made these defendants traitors. NBC News Justice reporter Ryan Riley was in the courtroom today, and he joins me now. Ryan, it's great to have you. What was today's hearing, and what was it like in there?
Yeah, to me, the thing that really stood out was that Virginia Brown testimony, just because it's something that we really haven't heard before. And just if you step back for a moment and think about this young woman's life, she was someone who, if you just do the math, was born after 9/11, probably spent her entire life going through these sort of drills that we've seen, that kids who go to school have to go through these days to prepare for disastrous incidents, and then talked about how she, took off her shoes and was running for her life, during this attack on the Capitol. And this was someone who had just, I think was a freshman probably in college when the COVID-19 pandemic started, and then, gets this experience of working in the Senate, and then has this horrific incident happen to her there. And, what was striking, the composure that she kept in court, and it was really, I think, emotional for a lot of the people who were there, including some of the testimony that we saw from officers, as well as from Nancy Pelosi's staff. But, I was in another sentencing hearing, and it is this kind of thing where you can get a little bit sort of just like used to this, and, okay, how many times are we going to hear this at some point? And one thing that the prosecutor made a point of mentioning in this other hearing was that, the officers are getting tired of doing this too. Some of the times we don't have victims who actually speak in these things because this has been 2 years of them having to go in court over and over again and tell these stories and make sure that they're held accountable. And it's really important work, but it can also be quite a grind, I think, for these officers who have gone through a lot and have to relive that day over and over again.
I was struck by some of the language throughout this trial, right? That seditious conspiracy and the kind of almost sort of symbolic or rhetorical role it plays in the conversation about what happened that day. There was an actual conspiracy to overthrow the government, according to the law, according to this conviction. And the penalties that the government are seeking here are really the high. Am I right? Like they're the highest for any of the folks that have been convicted so far. How does the government justify and ask for 25 years, which is, there are people who do less than that for homicide?
I think with Rhodes, it's really about the rhetoric. He was just so out there with some of the rhetoric and talking about what he wanted to do beforehand, as well as Kelly Meggs. Kelly Meggs especially has a lot of really just violent rhetoric about in the lead up to January 6th and the pre-planning that they were doing for this. And I think, honestly, we're going to hear quite something from Rhodes tomorrow. It's sort of, I was thinking about other terrorism sort of related cases, and, there's this idea of not wanting to spread propaganda from terrorists. That's a big thing from courts, and how is that really going to play out tomorrow? Because he's going to use this moment to really make as much of a stand as he can. He's already been doing it in whatever sort of spaces he can bring out. But I think that this is going to be his real moment. There's not going to be cameras in the courtroom, so it's not going to be something that's going to be broadcast on live television. But you're really going to wonder what kind of message he's going to come out from this, because he wants to go down like he thinks of himself as Nelson Mandela. So he's going to really make this as much of a moment as he can, I think, and probably outside of what his lawyers would want him to say. Because, even if he gets a 20-year sentence, we're basically bordering on life for him, right? Like that's basically a life sentence, essentially. So it's going to be really, I think, interesting to see how this ends up playing out and whether or not he makes this his final, stand and tries to potentially rally other people to do similar things to what the Oath Keepers did on January 6th.
Yeah, it would be something close to a life sentence, of course, pending the possibility of a future pardon by President Donald Trump, which the president has, if not specifically floated about him, definitely entertained multiple times. Ryan Riley, thank you very much.